Remember last week when I spoke with you about Yeelan Lee, who tried to say that when it comes to video game effects on actual gamers, that gamers themselves had no credibility in it and should sit down and be quiet? Well, he's sort of sorry for what he said. And I'm sort of going to accept this person's sort of apology. California Senator sort of sorry for telling gamers to quiet down. Gamers have just got to quiet down. Gamers have no credibility in this argument. The guy who said those words has eaten them via Twitter. Leland Yee, author of the California anti-video game bill that the Supreme Court struck down in 2011, apologized yesterday to video gamers for remarks he made in San Francisco Chronicle examination of violent video games and the ongoing gun violence debate in America. Quote, gamers, I admittedly didn't use best words to SF Cron, he tweeted. Quote, meant video game industry has inherent conflict of interest in game violence debate, end quote. Now let's think about that for a moment, though. Okay, I can respect if you try to say that the people actually afflicted by the badness or the evil that you've built up in your mind of violent video games. I can respect if you're saying that we can have credibility, we can have a voice, we should have a voice. Or, well, you're saying we can, but you're not saying we should. But you're saying the video game industry has a vested interest, just like how the NRA has a vested interest in promoting current and escalation of gun sales because they've been taken over by gun manufacturers and lobbyists. In the case of the NRA, you're completely right. In the case of the video game industry, you're partially right. No, I'm serious. The NRA is not artists. They're not crafters trying to talk about their craft. They're people who make what I still call tools, despite the fact that people have yelled at me to name one particular function or tool that the gun facilitates, and I'm not going to even touch that with a 10-foot pole. Not because I don't have ones, but because that's a losing argument no matter which side of that you're debating, and it's silly. But with gamers and the gaming industry, there is a part of it that is art. It is recognized by the government as art. Not to mention, I can speak as somebody who is an amateur 3D artist, an amateur digital artist, a digital painter, a photographer, a video, amateur photographer, amateur videographer, and on and on and on. This stuff, when it's actually crafted, takes talent. It takes time. It takes incredible amount of attention to detail. Even more so, or every bit as much as painting a Mona Lisa. Yes, I said that. And if you disagree with me, then prove me wrong. Oh, yeah, no, let me guess. 3D modeling is just so easy, right? It's just so phenomenally simple. You just go on the computer, bleep, bloop, blop, you've got a 3D model. Oh, these models texturing, oh, I could paint that in my sleep. I've got MS Paint on my system. I could do that. I'm an artist. By that logic, herp-a-derp. No, you're not. There's a reason why some of us are in the gaming industry and some of us are not. Because some of us have earned our abilities and crafted our talents to become cost effective as well as good artists that are hireable for these jobs, and we perform these duties and we do so very diligently for the entertainment of others. But it is art. It incorporates music, which you consider art. It incorporates cinematics at times, again, which you consider art. Hell, it incorporates animation, which again is considered art. So there is no debate over whether games can be art or not, but how much of that is art when we're talking about an FPS? Well, its production is art, but its content cannot be arguably entirely art. But that's a whole nother subject and a whole nother topic. Oh, I forgot, writing. These games don't just magically create a storyline in most cases. They have to be written. They have to be storyboarded out. All these things on their own you consider art, but when it's wrapped up in a video game, oh, it's not art. These are people. When they're not on the business end of things, these are people fighting for their art, fighting for their craft. So I'm sorry, no, not everybody in the gaming industry has no credibility in this talk. Now, those who are on the business end, yes, you can argue that there is a conflict of interest there, and I would agree with him partially on that part, because these people still want to make money, which is another topic that I'm going to talk about later on in this evening, because there's a great article that came up just about that article, that argument alone, the money-making part. But I digress. So let's see. Did he say anything else that's of mention here? No, that was let's see. I have a lot of respect for many gamers. No, you don't, because you want to take away our entertainment. Never mind the evidence. You don't care about the evidence. You don't care about the facts. You care that you disagree with the medium. You don't care about gamers. He added in another tweet, many are my staff and in my family, but the industry has profited at the expense of children. What? No, see, yeah, no. See, here's where you fall apart again, Leland. What? Because it corrupts kids' minds? Prove it. Because it creates a violent person out of a non-violent person? Prove it. Oh, because kids spend their allowance on this games? Prove it. I mean, some of them do, yes, but mostly it's the parents buying the games for the kids. And if, as I've said, if you want to say that video games cause violent behavior, then you also have to accept that the parents had to buy the game and therefore are partially culpable for any events that arise because of the child's exposure to said video game. You cannot take one without the other. You cannot advocate for personal responsibility and ignore the times at which the parent had to be present, had to buy, had to be the one to purchase or make an informed choice on the purchase. Full stop. But no, how? How have they profited at the expense of the children when youth violence has gone so drastically down that it's almost ridiculous with the rise of these video games, these violent video games? As much as I might not hold an FPS up as art, I would still argue for its relevance and its need to exist. Because games like Doom, games like Call of Duty have all aided in the downturn of youth violence. Oh, but no, silly me. Here I go arguing facts, figures, and statistics again. When will I ever learn that just slows this topic down, right? When we could just simply make stuff up and pretend as if we have any backing or any scientific anything that says that we're right and they're wrong. I'm sorry, if morality is all you've got in your corner, and I'm not saying that's where you've got Mr. Leland, but I am saying that that's likely where you're coming from, then, well, we have nothing more to say. I'm obviously not going to change your mind because you're overconfident in your morality and your knowledge that comes therein. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to call you out on this and show you why this is a ridiculous idea and continues to be one. So I sort of accept your sort of apology.